This is the CHIPZ VCO, dual VCO. This is pretty good. This is a pretty good module. It's pretty good. So I'm going to compare this pretty heavily to the White Line VCO from Dreadbox. Now, Dreadbox's product line, the White Line products have mostly been replaced by those ones with all the colors and that favor sliders as opposed to the knobs. At the time, this was like a cheaper oscillator, and I got this for about $120, whereas this bad boy was about $70, I think, on sale. And the fact that it had two oscillators on it really drew me in. So I want to show you some stuff about the range. Now, if this is going to have some potentially high-pitched oscillator sounds, so I'll tell you what. Let's turn this down a little bit. Well, first of all, look at this. If you look at chip 1 and chip 2, those are the two oscillators. The CV inputs we have are a little different, right? I can tune both of them using an input. Which is great, you know, that's connected to a sequencer or whatnot, very standard. The first one allows me to mess with the filter. There is admittedly fairly weak, but still kind of cool filter on that first one, all right? Which makes this great for little tiny rigs. And then the second one, you have some pulse width modulation. Again, little on the weak side, but still really cool. Back when I bought this, the reason why I picked this one is because the square wave has a pulse width modulation input, and not every VCO on the market did at the time. So that's cool that that's included. The range isn't as high as the other VCO. Take a listen. All right. Yep. That's a square. Let's get. There we go. There we go. That's a nice triangle wave. I don't think I can turn this filter off either, so I'm just gonna bottom out the knob. That's as low as I can get it. That's as high as I can get it. Alright, so that was a triangle wave. Compare that to the triangle wave on the Dreadbox White Line. Alright, I can get this thing lower than an LFO. That's impossibly low. This knob, the tuning knob on the Dreadbox White Line oscillator remained my favorite knob to turn on my entire rig for a very long time. It is very good. Oh yeah. So it makes these jumps very smooth, and I think once you hook it up to a sequencer, that's not going to matter. But that's one area where you can see, all right, this was like $50 less, and that's why. But again, hook it up to a sequencer, you'll never know it. And now we come to the LFO. There's an LFO with two outs put in, which is great. You know, save a little bit more space on your rack. And this LFO, I've got a couple, right? I've got the Dopfer, forgive me if I'm saying that wrong, quad LFO. That was the only one I had for a very long time, until I started with Behringer stuff, and the Behringer, what is this? Whatever this one is, has a little LFO built into it that doesn't get used a whole lot, but some. This LFO is the only one that I have which can get high enough or fast enough to be audible. Right? LFOs typically operate on ranges that are below audible. But what's kind of funny is the second I turn this up, you can hear it. That tells me that the LFO runs, even at its lowest setting, runs at a higher frequency than this oscillator when I turn it all the way down. Which means this could act as my LFO easily. So there you go. So let me hook it up to a sequencer, and we'll hear it bounce for a second. Alright, we got a little sequence locked in. That sounds very chiptune-y. Hence the name CHIPZ. It sounds way more chiptune-y than synthy as a standard oscillator would sound. And this is quantized using the 2 HP quantizer. I like it. Let's add some steps. There you go. Now let's listen to this same sequence, but from my standard oscillator. So there you go. That's the white line. Obviously, it's going to have a richer sound. But that's the extra 50 bucks. If you like chiptunes and you're building a compact rack, this is a really good module. If you got a lot of space, like I got a lot of extra space here, and you don't mind paying the extra 50 bucks, I don't know what their oscillator they're selling now sounds like, but the old Dreadbox white line oscillator is a great, great oscillator. A little bit feature light, but it's great. So there you go.